So what's brewing mid-summer 2024? Well, markets look absolutely fantastic. And I guess really where we have been focusing so much because of market gains and really because, quite frankly, people have done so well overall and they're reaching a certain stage, we're finding more and more reasons to do deeper and deeper tax planning. There's a lot of different ways that you can stretch your money. One is return. Another is not paying so much to Uncle Sam. So we're gonna share with you a few situations and ideas, some things to think about in today's What's Brewing episode to help you better understand the opportunities of tax planning.
So how does tax planning play into the investment side of things? Having had a tax and accounting practice previously for a number of years, it's easy to see there are better and worse decisions when it comes to where am I going to take distributions out. Things like Roth IRAs that if they're kept at least 5 years, the distribution, those things that have been earned are completely tax-free. Traditional IRAs, you're going to pay taxes when they come out, or at least they're taxable. Non-qualified accounts, you may have interest and dividends, capital gains that you pay on them, but the distribution of the account itself is not a taxable event. So it's really important. I had a client recently that wanted to take a distribution, a significant distribution for a major purchase. He had Roth IRAs, he had traditional IRAs, he had non-qualified accounts. And so what we were able to do, we were able to look at his tax bracket, look at his rate, look at what he had and how we could do that to, very importantly for him, minimize the taxes that he was going to pay. So it's not just about what kind of accounts we have, it's not just about what kind of production they have as far as earnings, but also being able to look at that in a tax effective way, whether it's required minimum distributions, whether it's qualified charitable distributions. There are good opportunities to tax plan, and that is important.
If Roth interests you and you're considering moving pre-tax assets to Roth, also known as a Roth conversion, it's good to know some of the key factors and why you would do that and at what time would you want to do that. And number one, you'd want to do it when your marginal tax rate is low, because any money that you convert to Roth is counted as income. So that was going to raise your marginal tax rate. So thinking about where you're at in the market cycle, if the market's down, it's usually a better time to do it because you're paying tax at a lower level and reinvesting it so that gives it time to grow and sort of make back some of the tax money you had to pay to do the conversion. Lastly, age is a factor. So if you're under 59 and a half, you'd have to pay the tax on that conversion out of pocket. I would not take it out of the IRA because it could be considered an early withdrawal penalty. And so most conversions happen after 59 and a half when you're in a lower marginal tax rate.
One question we get oftentimes around tax season is, what can we do to reduce our tax liability in future years? We saw this year's tax return and how much taxes we had to pay. What can we do to influence that in the future? One subject receiving heightened attention is called a charitable remainder trust. A charitable remainder trust, which I'll call a CRT, is a legal tool for someone who has got charitable intent. It has 5 key benefits to it that we can identify. First is the charitable intent itself. It allows you to designate an asset and leave it to charity at your death, not during your lifetime, but at death. Second, this instrument actually provides retirement income. So the asset that you transfer into the charitable remainder trust is something that you draw an income off of during your lifetime. The remaining amounts go to the charity. The third key benefit is you get a tax deduction for whatever assets that you contribute to the charitable remainder trust. You get that tax deduction right now to be applied to your tax return this year. Sometimes those benefits are realized all at once. Sometimes they're spread over 5 years, but you do have some control over that. Fourth is risk mitigation. It's very often people find themselves holding an asset, a stock position, for example, that's highly appreciated, and that stock position becomes an outsized portion of your retirement portfolio. That is both a benefit and a potential problem because you've got a lot of your wealth tied up in one stock. The downside of selling that stock is, of course, paying the capital gains taxes all at once, which can be a burden and a disincentive to de-risk. Lastly, whatever you're contributing to the charitable remainder trust is money that is no longer in your estate because it has been designated for charity. I met a client not all that long ago who probably 70% of their savings for retirement to that point had been accumulated through the purchase of a small bank stock years and years ago, and over time that stock had grown into a very large position relative to their whole level of savings. The challenge was that it was hard to think through getting out of that one stock position because of the tax implication that had, but a lot of their family's value was tied up in that one stock. It felt like having a lot of eggs in one basket. We considered a charitable remainder trust chiefly because they can transfer that stock position into the trust, receive income out of that trust without having to pay the capital gains tax. Part of the strategy was to liquidate that stock position, so not all of their eggs were in that one basket. The moral of this story is that if you will talk to your financial advisor and talk to your CPA, and most important, ask them to talk to each other, they will very likely come up with solutions that help you and your family.
Thank you for being a client of Investors Resource. We love every day being your trusted partner.